Restaurant business, good or bad? It starts as a dream, but for many, it quickly turns into a very expensive lesson. It is the oldest dream in the book. You imagine a bustling dining room, the smell of delicious food, the sound of glasses clinking, and the cash register singing. You want to be your own boss, serve the food you love, and build a community hub. But before you sign a lease or buy a single stove, you need to answer the million-dollar question. Is the restaurant business good or bad in 2026? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. It is a math problem. In 2026, the market is saturated. There are over 1 million restaurants in the US alone. The competition is fierce. But for those who understand the numbers, who can execute a unique concept, and who master the operational math, it is still booming. Today, we are not going to talk about recipes or interior design. We are going to do what we do best, the math behind the business. We are going to break down the startup capital, the silent killers known as overheads, the thin profit margins, and the specific calculations you need to survive. The setup costs, buying the kitchen. Just like buying a farm or a food truck, you have an infrastructure cost before you open your doors. In the restaurant world, this is often called the build-out. And in 2026, it is expensive. Let's look at the numbers for a mid-sized casual dining spot in an average US city, about 1,500 square feet. 1. The location. The land. You find a spot. It's empty. It needs work. Rent deposit and legal fees, first month, last month, security deposit and lawyer fees to review the lease, $15,000. Leasehold improvements, this is the construction. Flooring, walls, electrical wiring for heavy machinery, plumbing for the sinks and dishwashers, and the HVAC system, ventilation is the most expensive part. In 2026, construction costs are high. Construction cost, $100,000 to $150,000. 2. The equipment, the tools. You need the engine, commercial ovens, flat tops, fryers, walk-in coolers, freezers, and the front-of-house furniture, tables, chairs, and the bar. Kitchen equipment, $50,000. Furniture and POS systems, $30,000. 3. Licensing and permits, the red tape. Health department permits, liquor license if you serve alcohol, business license, signage permits. A liquor license alone in some states can cost $20,000 to $100,000. Let's assume a standard restaurant license. Permits and licensing, $10,000 to $20,000. The setup math summary, rent and legal, $15,000. Construction, $125,000. Equipment and furniture, $80,000. Permits and opening inventory, $20,000. Total startup capital, $240,000. You are $250,000 in the hole before you serve your first customer. This is the entry ticket. If you don't have this capital or a solid investor, the math stops here. The monthly burn rate. The overhead. Now, let's look at the monthly expenses. This is the burn rate. This is the amount of money that leaves your bank account every single month, whether you have 1 customer or 1,000. 1. Rent. For a 1,500 square feet space in a decent location. Monthly rent, $8,000 to $10,000. 2. Labor. The biggest variable. You cannot run a restaurant alone. You need a team. Chef and kitchen manager, $5,000 per month. Line cooks, $3,500 each equals $7,000. Servers and bartenders, tipped employees, but you pay a base, $3,000 total payroll burden. Total monthly labor, $15,000 to $18,000. 3. Utilities and insurance, gas, electricity, lights and AC running all day, water, trash removal, and liability insurance. Monthly cost, $3,000. The monthly nut, fixed costs. Rent, $9,000. Labor, $17,000. Utilities and insurance, $3,000. Total fixed expenses, $29,000. This means, on the first day of every month, you wake up owing $29,000. You haven't bought any food yet. You haven't made any profit. You just owe the building and the staff $29,000. This realization is heavy. It shows you that winging it isn't an option. You need precision. It's all about growth from here. Hit that subscribe if you're ready to level up your strategy. The cost of goods sold, and the plate math. Now, let's talk about the product. You buy ingredients, you cook them, you sell them. The gap between the raw cost and the menu price is where you find your profit. But in 2026, inflation has squeezed this gap tight. The plate cost calculation. Let's say you sell a burger and fries combo. Menu price $18. The costs: meat 6 ounces, $2.50. Bun and condiments 50 cents. Fries, 1 portion, 60 cents. Packaging, plate and napkin, 40 cents. Total food cost $4. The math: revenue $18. Food cost $4. Gross profit $14. That looks amazing, right? You made $14 profit. Wrong. We have to apply the industry standards. Food cost percentage, ideally 30% or less. Here, $4 is 22%. That is excellent. Labor cost percentage, ideally 30% or less. Overhead percentage, ideally 20% or less. Let's do the real profit calculation on that $18 burger. Food, 22% minus $4. Labor, 30% minus $5.40. Overhead, 20% minus $3.60. Rent, utilities, marketing. Total costs, $13. Net profit, $5. On an $18 sale, you keep $5. That is a net profit margin of roughly 27%. In reality, most restaurants operate on a 5 to 10% net profit margin. If your food waste is high, spoilage, or your labor is inefficient, staff standing around, that $5 profit turns into zero instantly. The risks: why 90% fail in year 1? You've heard the stat, 90% of restaurants fail in the first year. Why? It's rarely because the food tastes bad. It is almost always because of bad math and management mistakes. 1. Bad location. The traffic error: you saved money on rent by choosing a side street with no foot traffic. The math error: you reduced your fixed cost, rent, by $2,000, but you reduced your revenue by $20,000 because nobody sees you. You saved a penny to lose $1. Better research: you must count the foot traffic. Sit outside the location for a week. Count cars. Calculate the capture rate. If 1,000 people walk by and 2% come in, that's 20 customers. Is that enough to pay the $29,000 nut? 2. Bad marketing. The empty room error: build it and they will come is a lie. The math error: you spend $250,000 building the restaurant but allocate $0 for a launch marketing budget. Better marketing: you need to spend 3 to 5% of your projected revenue on ads. Instagram, Google, local influencers, especially in the first 3 months. If you don't create buzz, you die silently. 3. Bad management. The leak error: theft, waste, and portioning. If a cook gives an extra large portion of fries, your food cost goes up. If the bartender gives a free round of drinks, your profit walks out the door. Better service and better math: you need standard operating procedures. Every burger must have 6 ounces of meat. Every drink must be measured. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. The solution: how to win in 2026. So, is it impossible? No. It is just a game of precision. How do you survive? 1. Master the prime cost calculation. Smart restaurant owners focus on prime cost equals total cost of goods plus total labor cost. Your prime cost should be below 60% of total sales. If your prime cost is 65 or 70%, you are losing money. Every Monday morning, you must calculate your prime cost. If it's high, you cut hours or negotiate with suppliers immediately. You don't wait until the end of the month to check the bank account. 2. Unique concept equals higher margins. If you open a generic pizza shop, you compete on price. You have to sell cheap pizza. Margins are thin. But if you open a Neapolitan pizza bar with a specific story, imported ingredients, and a vibe, you charge a premium. The math: a generic burger sells for $12. A chef special Wagyu burger sells for $24. The labor is the same. The rent is the same. But the profit per plate is double. Differentiation allows you to control the pricing power. 3. Better math, not just better food. The successful owner in 2026 is part chef, part accountant. They know that selling 100 burgers a day isn't enough. They calculate exactly how many covers they need to break even. Break-even calculation: fixed costs $29,000. Average profit per customer $8 after food and labor. Customers needed to pay bills. 29,000 divided by 8 equals 3,625 customers per month. That's roughly 120 customers per day. If you know this number, 120, you wake up every day with a target. If you hit 90, you know you need to run a promo. If you hit 150, you know you are safe. The math gives you control. So, is the restaurant business good or bad in 2026? It is good for calculation. It is bad for the careless. It is a high-risk, high-reward game. You are fighting rising food costs, high rents, and fierce competition. But if you do the math before you sign the lease, if you calculate your break-even point, control your prime costs, and differentiate your brand, you can build an empire. It's not about luck. It's about the numbers. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash flow is reality. If this breakdown helped you understand the real cost of the restaurant game, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see the math behind other businesses, hit that subscribe button. We have a lot more to uncover.